Hello and welcome to another edition of All About Berea. I'm Chad Hembry.
And I'm Beth Myers.
Joining us in the studio is Mr. Jonathan Shinhofen. We are going to have a pretty good show. I'm excited about one of our guests because it actually is about a 10-year legacy we've established here in Berea with the Kentucky Artisan Center of Berea. And we're going to have Victoria Farrow, the executive director, on the show here with us this week. Mm-hmm. Now, I know that some of the people listening have probably figured it out, so we're just going to call it what it is. We are pre-recorded from 2 weeks ago, so we've actually spread it out. And because I know that at some point or another in the interview with Victoria, I made a comment that actually tells the tale that we recorded it early. But we are coming out now exactly on the week of this event, which is the 10-year anniversary for the Artisan Center.
At least we're not lip syncing.
That's right. But we pre-recorded so that I could take my family on a vacation.
So if something really incredible happens in Berea and it's not in the 4 things you should know, that is why.
That is why, yes.
So if everybody could hold off on really important things until Chad gets back, then we are going to be all on to it. But Chad, I am so glad you're taking a 2-week vacation. How long has that been since you've been able to do that?
The last time I took a 2-week long vacation, and this is because I work in the IT field. If anyone listening wonders, why can't you get away for 2 weeks? Well, things break. Let's just leave it at that.
Well, and let's also say self-employed, which also explains the 2-week vacation. But nobody's paying for it when you go away.
The last time we were gone for 2 weeks, we took a road trip to Vegas and back, and we moved a friend of mine there to move in to teach. He was going to be a school teacher there.
So you'd have to say it's not just a vacation.
Well,
it was a working vacation.
That was about 10 years ago. So, yeah, It's been a while. So anyway,
good for you.
Without further ado, I see you have your list there, and we're going to go right into 4 things you should know.
That's right. Okay, thank you, Chad. So from July 18th to 21st, the Berea Arts Council is going to be partnering with the Rose Barn and Berea Tourism to hold the Win Shakespeare's Ladies Meet. This is going to be at 7 p.m. at the Berea Arts Council. That'll be coming up. These are free performances of 45 minutes each. People are invited to go and watch. This is a playful exploration of what would happen if all the heroines of Shakespeare actually met each other. On July 23rd, there will be a Please Don't Litter drama camp from 1 to 5 p.m. at the Russell Acton Folk Center. This is actually the second summer this type of program is being sponsored by the Berea Parks and Recreation. Earthman Lanny Smith comes and does his camp. It's going to end with a musical drama at 7. Thursday, July 25th is going to be the official Berea Parks and Recreation celebration, since July is officially the Parks and Recreation month. The event's going to take place at the Berea City Park Shelter from 6 to 8 p.m. There's going to be activity booths and door prizes to celebrate. And lastly, as Chad already mentioned, the Kentucky Artisan Center is celebrating 10 years in Berea from July 19th to July 21st. The groundbreaking took place earlier, but the doors officially opened in July of 2003. People can enjoy 10% off during those days. There's also a current exhibit up at the Artisan Center of the celebration of 10 years, and that gallery exhibit will be up until August 24th. The Artisan Center has been successful in their 10 years. Last year, 2012, they actually welcomed their 2 millionth visitor. And that is 4 things you should know.
Once again, a good list, but most of it's events this time of year. There's just a lot going on.
Yeah, there really is. And since we've been pulling this, I think just annually, places really have kind of their set celebrations. And I've just been realizing, especially as a parent, as my kids are getting older, it's very few weekends that go by where there's not something that I'd like to go to, I'd plan to go to, don't always get to, but it's actually quite amazing, again, for the town this size.
Well, I do encourage anyone to go participate at the city's Parks and Recs, putting the event together for July being Parks and Rec month. Yeah, they put a lot of work into that, and there's a lot of things for the youth to do out there.
Yeah, and we're our new director, is coming, and when Maggie Kreibel came, I believe the only thing that was happening was the Halloween at the park, like major event, and then they had the pool and some other things. And she really, I mean, she had a degree. She came in here ready to make Berea Parks and Recreation a much more fundamental department of the city. And she was very successful at that. And to give the mayor and the city administration credit, Randy and Steve also picked her because of that reason. They wanted to see Berea Parks. But now you go anywhere and people know about Parks and Recreation in Berea, in town. And it was not something that was nearly that big a part of the city before.
We had coined calling her Magnificent Maggie. And Berea Online, every time you'd see her in print, just about it, somewhere in the article, it would be Magnificent Maggie.
I love it.
One indicator of how successful she actually was that she could leave. And she built it up enough that the people who she left behind have picked it up, and I haven't noticed any drop off in Parks and Rec presence and activities and stuff. So not only did she succeed while she was there, but she put together a team that is now moving on.
Mm-hmm.
Goes to prove good leadership moves on for a while. We had another thing I wanted to bring up that was celebrated in July, which of course is the fiscal year.
Right.
And we've had her on the show here with Randy not too long ago, Susan Meeks, who's the director of finance for the city.
She had, that's right, the New Year's
Yes, she has started a tradition that they have a New Year's party after they close the books, for the year and open the new year.
For July 1st, right.
For the staff up there at the city. And I thought how rejuvenating for the staff, because that is a big accomplishment to finish the year out, the fiscal year, and start your new year off kind of with a bang.
And you really bring the rest of the, financial can so often be off in their little corner, and oftentimes don't even have that positive relationships with the other employees because they're the ones who, not in Berea's case, I don't think, but the ones who say no or don't reimburse or, they're the Catberts of the world. And no, I think that was human resources, but Catbert and Dilbert. But it brings everybody in to it by having that celebration. And that's so neat when I heard that.
It sounds like they had a good time.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of felt like, I'd like to have been at the party.
Council members aren't invited.
That's right.
Staff only.
Is that part of the line item for wasteful spending?
No, that is called good employee relations. Is what that is called.
Oh, they got rid of that line item. It's just we still just keep thinking it's back.
All right. Was it anything else on that list you wanted to talk about? No, I think obviously the Please Don't Litter drama camp. Lord have mercy, I wish that would change things around. I mean, it's still such a tragedy to me. I talked to Clint Patterson a lot, who's the forester at Berea College. I talked to the city, I talked to the county, I look at the roads. I just don't get it. I mean, I really don't. With the litter problems, we have some of the most beautiful vistas. Kentucky does, especially Madison County. And it's just so sad to me that the carelessness by which these places are treated with trash and stuff. So, but who knows? Maybe things like this, the hope, of course, is that you start young and bring children up with that kind of attitude, and hopefully you'll reap the benefits years from now. So yeah, I would invite people to be involved in that. We'll write an article about it, and at least they could read the article about it before they throw it out of the window on the side of the road or something.
Promise, I'm not sure how many of these people actually read the newspaper. But yeah, hey.
It happens.
Are you saying that we're part of the waste? You can recycle newspapers. I'd just like to say that.
All right. I've made her feel guilty. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to go to a interview that we had pre-recorded earlier this evening with Miss Victoria Farrow from the Kentucky Artisan Center, and she shared a lot of great things with us, so stick around. Hello and welcome back. You're listening to All About Berea. Joining us in the studio now, we have a very special guest joining us. She is from the Kentucky Artisan Center at Berea, and this is Executive Director Victoria Farrow. Thanks for being with us.
Delighted to be here.
We wanted you to come in to talk about a huge event that is actually going on today, and then all the way through the 22nd, I believe.
21st, yes.
21st, okay. And so this is a real key timing. If you're listening, you need to jump in your car and get on the road.
We hope everyone will visit over this weekend. We're very excited. This is our 10th anniversary year. We opened in July of 2003, so we're celebrating this month. And July 19th through 21st, we have a lot of special events going on at the center. We have demonstrators every day, several demonstrators. We have Chautauqua characters. We'll have Henry Clay and some other famous Kentuckians visiting us. We'll have live music, and it's just going to be an exciting time all the way around.
Well, and for the more mercenary impulse, I believe you also have a little bit of a sale going on as well, right?
We do. We always have wonderful artisan works from all over across the state, and a lot of them from the Berea area as well. And we are offering this particular weekend a 10% discount. If people go to our website, www.KentuckyArtisanCenter, all spelled out, .ky.gov, there's a great coupon there that you can bring in.
Because it's only 150 days until Christmas, right? So people need to start shopping now.
I didn't need to hear that.
It's always time
I'm sorry,
to shop.
I just had to throw something to just get you panicked.
Oh, I didn't need to hear that.
The sun's shining. We don't need to worry about it right now.
Well, I wanted to have you in here for a couple of reasons. One was, of course, the celebration, but let's start from the beginning. What is the Artisan Center? So that someone listening who's never experienced it, maybe they even live in Berea, they've driven by it a dozen times, but they have no clue what it is.
The Artisan Center is really a kind of taste of Kentucky in lots of ways. We do serve as a traveler center, so we have what have been called the cleanest and best designed restrooms on I-75 that have fresh flowers and are just really a pleasure to use. We have travel information about the whole state. We have extensive information on Berea, and we always have someone from the Berea Tourism Office there on site to help people as well. But we also have information from all across the state. And then we have wonderful artisan products. And we don't have just traditional arts and crafts, but we also have music by Kentucky musicians. We have Kentucky specialty foods. We have Kentucky books. And the last thing is that we have a cafe. And that serves from 9:30 to 3:30 daily. We have a full lunch. And we serve some wonderful special Kentucky specialties there as well.
And we've had several lunch meetings there. You actually let people host meetings there as well.
We do, and people really enjoy that because they don't have to work with a separate food vendor or anything. They'll come in and either let their attendees eat lunch in the cafe or arrange for a special buffet. So that works out really well for people.
I was thinking as we're coming up with 10 years, and definitely congratulations on that. It's actually amazing to think that many years has flown by. And I know there's always been the discussion, and it continues to happen, about kind of Kentucky Artisan Center, connecting it to Berea, bringing people in. I guess that continues to be part of your role too, or a challenge as far as kind of getting visitors in and then also staying connected to the town.
Well, I think, it's a challenge for Berea that it has several different districts that have arts in it. And I think Berea Tourism and the city really have worked hard to do things like run trolleys between Old Town and College Square and the Artisan Center and do things like that. But I think we all realize that what we most want is for Berea to be a great place to live in, to travel to from within Kentucky, to have a business in. So whenever anything is added, it really adds to the mix and makes it more likely that people will want to stay here if they're living here, keep their businesses here if they're here, or travel here. So we really see it as a big partnership, and we do everything we can to make sure that all of us see as many visitors as we can. And I think the other important thing is that the Artisan Center and the other businesses in town aren't just here for visitors. They're here for people who live here. And one of our big goals with our 10th anniversary is to get as many Kentuckians in the center as we can, because I think it just makes you proud. I mean, you walk in and you see we have a lot of Berea artists work there, but we have works from other artists as well. And it's just pretty amazing to see all of it in one place. And then know that beyond that, you can also go into Berea and see even more. So we want to get Kentuckians to Berea as well as visitors.
Well, I'll tell my experience just recently. Letha and I, my wife Letha, we needed to purchase a gift. And we were thinking it needed to be something unique that we wanted to get this person. And the first place that came to mind was going up here to the college, to the log house. And we thought about a couple other places. But then we had a little bit of extra time on our hand. We thought, well, let's go to the Artisan Center because we can shop, we can eat lunch. And architecturally, that place is phenomenal. It's a very pleasant environment to be in. And it's laid out much like a gallery. Like an art gallery. So we spent probably 2 hours there walking around, purchased something for the gift. You all wrapped it for us in a little gift bag, and then we ate there at the restaurant. It made a nice 2 hours, and we accomplished our goal.
Well, and that's what a lot of people do. And the great thing is that because there are these great shops downtown as well, we send people back and forth. So someone will come to our shop and really be interested in dulcimers and want to know more about him. We're real likely to send him to Warren May's shop where they can talk to the maker himself and listen to him play. And people in town will send people out to us if somebody wants a particular yard bird animal that they don't have. They'll send them out to the center. So I think all of us just are really working to make sure people have the kind of experience you had, where you're able to spend a lot of time looking in pleasant environments, and you can eat if you want to eat, and you can shop and just have a great time. One of the things I might mention about the building is I was fortunate to be able to join the staff before the center opened and work with the board and the building committee. And of course, our board is half local people in addition to the state representatives. And one of the things they talked about throughout that was that this should be a facility that people were really comfortable in. We wanted great quality, but we also wanted people to feel comfortable. And I think the architects really did a great job with that, with the stone and wood.
Oh, it's beautiful. The open ceilings that just keep reaching up, and it's all that open architecture,
right? And the light
and the stone down the different shades that you've used, and the restrooms. People think that's funny when I say it, but they really are some of the nicest restrooms I've ever been to in a public facility.
Yeah, I mean, to call it a rest stop is almost just it just doesn't work.
It's interesting because in a way it prepares people for something totally different than they find. So it really, in some ways, works to our advantage because they're
when you
so
look on the
excited.
map and see, oh, rest stop and exit 77.
Yeah, it's true.
And just speaking with Rodney Short, I had recently done an article just on the whole kind of buildup of Exit 77, which was partly inspired with Kentucky Artisan Center going down there. And I was thinking, you guys, I don't know how long you get that, but that has changed very much, crossing over the interstate exit into all the development down there as well. So that whole area is
and
in the
all
last
of those,
10 years.
All of those things feed each other and just make Berea a much more likely destination to either move to or travel to, which is exciting.
So as you're looking at the first 10 years, next 10 years, are there any, any new things you're thinking of? Or is it kind of, of course you have your mission in place, but just wondering as you get past your first decade and go into your next.
Well, our primary focus this last year has been to really ensure that there has been no decline in the quality of the facility itself or the experience. And we feel really good about that. And we've just installed some new banners on the property. I don't know if people have been out there in the last couple of weeks, but those kind of make it feel festive, I think, and exciting. And they also help inform people about what they can do at the center so they don't miss an experience. As we're looking ahead, we're really looking at ways that we can perhaps reach a broader audience, and one of those ways is certainly using technology a little bit more. But I think that one of the things that's really been a part of our thinking all along is that we want to be successful at what we're doing and make sure what we're doing is the right thing, and we may not be doing a lot of changing, but rather just continuing to do quality. Because the center was never meant to be the sole destination of a traveler. It was always meant to be that taste of Kentucky that made you think you wanted to visit Berea, you wanted to go to Richmond, you wanted to go someplace else in the state. So we really have to be careful that we don't begin to be everything. So we're going to try to continue to just really do the things that we can do best. We are in a prime location where we're visible from I-75, so we can pull people off more easily than other places. So I think right now we're just being very careful in the way that we develop to make sure that we're doing what's best for the artisans of the state and most certainly for this community.
Yeah, and I think that's wise, because I do think there's almost inevitable pressure in any organization like this to always be adding new services, always to be doing more, and then you kind of lose what it was you were there to do in the first place. So,
and the other thing that we feel is really important is we feel an on-site experience is really important, and I think we have to be careful that we don't start encouraging people to be dealing with us in ways other than really being there and handling crafts firsthand and experiencing Kentucky firsthand. So those are real priorities for us.
Well, and the demonstrations that you have, those are always nice. The artists come in.
The visitors really enjoy those, and our staff do too. We do have a demonstration every Saturday from 10:30 to 3:30, and of course during this celebration weekend we'll have 2 demonstrators every day. Everything like glass blowing to turning. The fellow who turns wooden hats will be there. Some really exciting things. But what the demonstrations do is give somebody a chance to watch for 5 minutes or to sit there for 2 hours and really talk with the artist. So we get some people who are interested in learning an art who will come and really get some firsthand knowledge from an expert. And we also have people who just will come away knowing a little bit more about what went into that turned mug that they're buying. And for us, a lot of the goal is to help people have their first experience in many cases with handmade art and how special it is and how much it can add to their lives.
Well, thank you very much for coming in and talking to us, and I hope this motivates people to drive out and check it out this week.
Well, it's been a pleasure, and we hope lots of people come.
Yeah, and you've got that great biking and running trail now, so you can all have all kinds of transportation to the Kentucky Artisan Center.
That's great. Thank you.
We've been visiting with Victoria Farrow, the Executive Director of the Kentucky Artisan Center at Berea. Once again, we're so glad that you came in here to join us. This is All About Berea. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after these messages. Hello and welcome back to All About Berea. We've just been visiting with the Executive Director of the Kentucky Artisan Center of Berea. And she was very good in explaining that of Berea is actually a very important part of their name. When they developed it, they wanted to distinguish that not only was it in Berea, but it's of this area, and that Berea is so attached to crafts as an industry and the artisans that was actually very positive in their marketing. I think it's great. And she did explain, of course, Berea Tourism does have a permanent presence down there, and that the rooms are available for rent if you want to use the rooms down there, and it's a very nice cafe for lunch. It's just a lot going on there. If you're from the Berea area, please go check it out. And what better time to check it out than the 10-year anniversary?
Right, absolutely. Yeah, and it's interesting as well, and this can be something we might want to discuss on another show, but I know we've had some retail artisan places closing down because people can't make it. And it's a reality I'm very sad about, but I don't know if that's where we're going, to more places like the Kentucky Artisan Center that sell from, many, many different artists. But I like the studio artists. I like having those as part of Berea. So it's not a reality I'm, necessarily happy with, but I know like Old Town's gonna lost a few, gonna lose another, and I don't know. We'll just have to see.
One of the big debates when they were considering the Artisan Center is, well, is this going to draw business away from downtown, or is this going to get people to stop and maybe come into town. I'm not sure if that's been definitively answered, but
yeah, it's a pretty hard question to answer.
This in town, so you can't say it's directly competing with anything. I mean, it's a rest stop on the interstate. Also, it's advertised as a restroom stop, and maybe it does hurt if some people eat there and don't go on into town to eat at the restaurants. That would be a direct. But as far as some of the items they sell, it's kind of a taste. It's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. There's, if you want to learn more about dulcimer, like she said, they're going to send you on into town where you can really learn about dulcimers and get you a nice dulcimer.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's what she said. Part of the problem is we have, problem, challenge, opportunity, however you want to put it. We have these different little art areas in Berea that don't necessarily smoothly go into each other, but I think it's all about how you think about it too. And I'll be interested as this, we might want to talk about this a little further in a later show about the signage grant that they're working on. Because I think that's a big thing too in Berea right now is we really don't have a good way of directing people through.
Well, this is the point in the show where we usually try to pull out some political points and talk about it. And this week, the main one that I want to talk about is over a feasibility study that the city has considered to put some money towards for a retirement community in Berea. Now, this isn't specifically for the retirement community by United Church
of God, I believe. Yeah, it's not the one necessarily on Slate Lake Road, but it's not even, it's about what Bereans think about a retirement village. What is the interest?
What is the interest and the feasibility that it could financially make it here in Berea? And that in general sounds like a noble task to me. And at the budgetary meeting, there was a group there represented that had a good point, and they talked about it, and it seemed, like I said, like a noble cause. And the city had set some money aside in a budgetary line that we could use to spend towards the feasibility study. Now, feasibility studies aren't cheap, and we knew that. And we'd put together a significant amount of money, but still, in the back of our minds, we're thinking $10,000, something.
Well, and that was actually thrown around in that meeting too, Chad, wasn't it? Like 10, 15?
Yeah, these were just guess numbers, of course. And the way the money was set aside didn't have to all be spent, or it didn't have to be spent on that exactly. So anyway, to keep that in mind, the only company that responded so far to the mayor's inquiry about getting a feasibility study was Spectrum. Now, Spectrum, I don't know anything about them. They have a wonderful presentation, though. What they sent back is well written and well defined. They broke it down into 4 phases. Now, I'll tell you what the phases are first. They have this preliminary phase where they actually just come out and look at the different areas and get some rough numbers on the community and then compare that to other places that way if you're kind of in the right ballpark to even be looking at this. The next phase is a market analysis where they go deeper into the financial of the community to see if you could actually support it and if the need and support are there. Then they go into focus groups where they take the people that might actually live there, and kind of go break it down into their focus groups. After that, they follow up with a telephone survey. That's the last thing they do, where they actually start talking, broader scopes of people. When I looked at that initially, I thought, wow, that's pretty in-depth. Looks like they're trying to do a good job there. Then I saw the prices on it, and I thought I was going to have a mini stroke.
Sticker shock, huh?
I just realized the back had fallen off my watch. I have no idea where it's at.
That is really strange.
Yeah,
Chad.
I was like, why is my watch hurting my arm? Because there's no back.
And why is all that hair sticking out of it?
Oh, yeah, right, thanks.
Oh, yeah, let's please have that discussion.
So as we completely derailed my train of thought here with a watch that was hurting me. Yeah. Let's see if I can find the back
that
of the
is
watch.
what we call a non sequitur, but please continue, Chad.
The preliminary study, $5,000. Well, now you're looking at what? That's like half of what we were thinking for for the whole project, right?
You know what I think is they're having committee meetings about the study.
So preliminary study, $5,000. Next, a market analysis, $12,500. So we're up to $17,500, right?
We haven't even started talking to people yet.
Wait. I see a discount. If the market area stays the same as the market area used in the preliminary study, $5,000 is credited against the market analysis.
So we could be down to as low as $12,500.
All told, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Next, focus groups. They're about $4,000 a piece, and so if they did 3 of them, counting the discounts you would get, you're looking about $11,000, a little more than that. Well, $11,500 total. Okay, now we're up over
24,000.
Yeah, we're up over twice where we thought we would be. The telephone survey, additional $13,500. So all total, if we spent everything that they're wanting, $38,000 for a feasibility study.
Let me ask you this, Jonathan. How are telephone surveys viewed now as more and more go to cell phones? I mean, we're looking at a significant shift, which is what's hurting our 911 charges. I mean, is there still a validity? Because I know there's been talk about when you do a telephone survey, you're leaving out the younger population, you're leaving out the more technologically connected population.
We've got I'd feel pretty comfortable about one here because the population is the population of interest is about 14,000. It's mostly residential. I don't know. Dare I say we don't care what the college students think about this?
Well, a lot less, I would say.
Yeah. And since it's so confined and so well defined, and most of the population actually is, I bet we have more landlines than are generally the case. So last week I talked about public opinion polling. And in that case, when you're doing a statewide or national study, whether you're using a cell phone or not makes a big difference. But here, I think it'd be fine.
Okay, but sorry, I got off the topic of the price, but I was wondering if that was even how that was viewed anymore. But yeah, so what price tag are we up now to?
Well, 38,000, like I said, it would be the total if you went with everything, not counting a few discounts. And even if you figure discounts in there, I'm still up to 30,000. I'm just not feeling it.
Kind of hard to see. People being sold on that.
That's a hard one to swallow. It is.
Yeah. I'll do the survey for you. $5,000. Got right.
Well, I'm sure the council's going to work on this one because I'm
handwritten out.
I'm not feeling that one going very smoothly and.
No. I think people are interested, but there's not a large amount of momentum behind it where it would be like, we have to do this, we have to do this, we have to do, it's like, yeah, this would be a good thing to do. But that kind of energy doesn't usually pow you to $30,000 to $35,000.
So. It would have been nice to have a couple different companies bidding against each other. And additionally, it would be nice if I had myself had been prepared for what it costs other communities that have looked at doing a similar thing. I mean, because maybe...
I wonder why you only got one. I'm not curious.
I'm sure he solicited for them. It's just... That happens. I mean, we just bought something, last month before last, where we only had one bid because it was such a specific item. And we tried to find others, but there just wasn't anything for it. So that still happens in today's time. Apparently Amazon doesn't sell everything.
So if are you serious? If I put in the search feasibility study, there would not be
on Amazon
bid?
Would you want to try that out and see?
I saw some people's souls for sale on eBay.
How much are they going for?
That's what I need, a used soul. Gently used.
Of course, what I first thought was foot, and I'm like, huh? What? In a shoe? Oh, the spiritual kind.
Yeah.
Is there a gently used or a...
That's what
all they're asking for in return is to be a virtuoso guitarist,
And what's sad is when they just don't go anymore because it's glutted. The market is glutted with people trying to sell their souls.
Yeah, apparently you can't get everything there. But anyway, that's That's kind of my political take on that. I'm not going to be very much for spending $38,000 on this feasibility study.
No, I'll be surprised if that goes. Yeah. I mean,
I may be a lone wolf on it. I don't know, but I just don't.
It also makes me. I'm seeing the spectrums from North Carolina. It always makes me a little wiggy for a company in another state to think that they can come to little old Berea and visit 3 or 5 or even 10 times and tell us what the nature, what the feel of the city is. That just when it's that far away, it makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I know I had to deal with people like you when I was doing computer and network consulting all over the country when they'd say, why are we flying somebody in from Kentucky to tell us how to run this hospital? And
no, I'm not talking about that. It's that they have to know about the nature of the community and understand the people. And I mean, it's not as simple as a telephone survey if you're going to give a reasonable feasibility study. A computer's a computer, Chad, wherever you are.
Yeah. So this does not apply to you, Chad. Yeah. That's fine if you want to go to California and set up people's IT networks.
I would fly you across the country to turn on my printer.
Oh, you would?
Hey, what are friends for? If not to fly to turn on a printer.
That's right. Okay. I did have a little thing I promised I would talk about, the death of privacy, and it's actually going to have to spread out over 3 or 4 different episodes.
And I get dibs on the next one because I think Jonathan's had a few, and I have not had a rant yet, so just putting that out there.
All right, so the next one is Beth.
Next one's mine.
All right. Well, I'm going to break this one out over 2 or 3 different times throughout the year because I'm really getting into this electronic privacy and how much of it are we losing and where are we losing it and what can we do about it. So the age of information has been welcomed because of the conveniences it had brought along with it. It's never been easier to purchase items or order services, make travel arrangements, and even communicate. In this well-connected age, we have a multitude of ways to willingly share or choose not to share our personal information on programs like Facebook, Twitter, and other internet-based social sites. The privacy concerns I have are not that of the willing, because I am a poster child for online sharing, all right? But rather the ways our information is tracked and even traded without our even knowing it. There are several ways that I want to point out that compromise our privacy every day. And unfortunately, there's very little you or I as individuals can do about some of these concerns. But just being aware of them gives you a leg up on the situation and a motivation, I should say, to encourage change if you so choose. Far be it from me to just assume that everyone agrees with me on these practices, because obviously there are people that started, funded, and supported these very institutions that are using this privacy information all across America. Millions of Americans employed by this. The first one I'm going to talk about is the convenience of plastic. I am a plastic man. What I mean by that, if I buy a stick of chewing gum in a store, half the time I'm digging out my debit card or a credit card, which I feel horrible about, but I don't have any cash on me. You hardly ever catch me with much more than a couple bucks worth of cash in my pocket on a typical day. And this is partly due to my endless pursuit of rewards points for purchases. Yes, I know I've been caught hook, line, and sinker by the brilliant marketing of credit card mega industries. And for my part, it's actually worked out for me and my family. I know that's not the case for every family, and purposeful overextension of credit on behalf of lending companies to desperate folk in desperate situations is an evil business that we can discuss on another day.
Let's.
Every time I make a purchase with my cards in a store, the credit card processor knows more about me, as well as the store or the bank that I'm dealing with. Okay, right? All these companies have access to that data. I had made myself notes and I had left that out. I wanted to add it. So what I want to do is track down what they can do with that information. So for instance, let's say that I'm going to Disney World and I've used my credit card to book my trip and to make my purchases while at the park. What does Disney know about me by the time I leave the park a week later? I mean, really, what do they know about me? The truth is, what do they not know about me? Of course, they know the obvious things, such as my name, my address, my phone number. But what about the size of my family, my spending habits, my favorite foods, and my hobbies? Can they use the same data to figure out my favorite colors and the weight of my body size from the clothes that I purchased? Of course they can. But then you may wonder, do they? Well, I don't know for sure. I don't work for Disney. But I do know that after traveling there 10 or 12 times in the last 20 years, they know me pretty well. They send me targeted marketing that narrowly focuses on precise things, events, parks, attractions, and shows that I like, and have never voluntarily supplied a list of those items to them on a survey. Now let's focus a little bit closer to home on a trend that's even broader than being tracked by your credit card. And that's the idea of discounts on items coming to you by belonging to a loyalty program. Now, the first one I can ever remember dealing with was Kroger. And I used to tease my wife about the Kroger card, about how they were tracking her, and made light of it. But then I always felt it was rude for me to run into Kroger, and just because I didn't have a card on me or couldn't find a card, didn't want to take time to sign up for a card, I couldn't get the best price on the item. I had to pay the other price. I used to complain about that all the time. Well, now they let me put my phone number in, so I don't actually have to carry the card, but I'm still willingly letting them track me, right? Walgreens has the little card now. The one that is used the most here in Berea that I notice people talking about and using are the Speedy Rewards. Now that is a big one with the gasoline. Now I know that these cards do build loyalty to the companies, and they do make you want to come back to use the points. But have you ever really thought about the data that they're collecting on you when you use these? They know how much fuel you use. They know averages of how much you use a week, or they can at least roughly estimate it. They know if you drink whole milk or 2%. They can do studies of candy bars, whether you eat healthy foods or you eat junk foods. There is a whole lot they can determine about you with this information.
They can probably figure out your work schedule. If you get coffee and donuts at 7:30 every morning and then a 6-pack of beer at 4:30 every afternoon, they know how much you work.
So, like I said, I've got several more of these that I'll be bringing out, but this was the first I wanted to talk about, the age of plastic. Now, what can you do to better protect yourself of people and companies not being able to really track everything about you? Or do you even care? Is it just a convenience you're worth giving up the privacy for? Now with Disney, I don't know, it's pretty nice getting targeted to the things that I liked there, and I don't have to view everything else. So maybe that's harmless that they did all that.
Of course, then you also have to wonder you're not being able to, quote, comparison shop. You know what I mean? When they target, are they sending you the most expensive stuff? You know, because they figured out your income and know that you can handle it. I mean, I always wonder about that too. It's like when you don't get the full information, you can't make informed decisions. But just a thought.
No, there's definitely a form of steering going on here, where they can steer me to whatever direction they choose by using the things
big
that I like.
Big spender, let's send him this, or
Yeah.
that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, this is a little bit. This is a little off topic here, but recently these people came up with an algorithm to take Facebook data, what you clicked on, and what you said you liked, to come up with all this information about you, including your sexual preference. And the people who designed it was a research experiment, said that that they could nail the sexual preference of the person just based on their public Facebook data about 90% of the time. So that's an even longer extrapolation of that kind of data.
Well, and think about this as a small piece in a big puzzle. Just your credit card alone is giving up information on you. Now take that into account with other things that are being collected on you, and then think if there's someone out there putting the two together. Well, every time you add another piece to the puzzle, guess what? The picture gets clearer.
Yeah, I mean, information is the same as money in a lot of settings.
There are some loyalty programs that I don't do for that reason. I had a Speedy card, and I went to Valvoline Instant Oil Change, and I was supposed to get 7,500 points every time, and that's why I went there. And then one time I didn't get my 7,500 points, and I called and went online and blah blah blah. I could never get my 7,500 points. So I'm like, forget this, because they owe me something. I'm giving them something, and I'm not going to let them have it for free. So I threw away my Speedy card.
You're not giving it away.
No, I want points, man.
I live right. I know exactly what you're talking about. You feel cheated. You feel slighted if you don't get it.
So how do you protect yourself?
One thing is to use cash. It is the green stuff, and it's still printed.
Some people even still take
it.
You can still get it, and it's actually free.
That's when it's going to get weird. It's just going to say does not accept cash.
Yeah. So cash is one way, definitely, to keep yourself off the radar a bit, but then it's a bit dangerous to carry large sums of cash. So maybe another way is just switch up. If you've got 2 or 3 cards and you're at Disney World, use 2 or 3 different cards while you're there instead of just one for everything. Well, then you're really, even if they try to put it together, you're throwing them a good curveball.
Yeah, or have 3 or 4 aliases and walk around as different people, and that'll...
Or just pickpocket 3 or 4 cards as you go.
There you go.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were staying within legalities here. Are we throwing that out? Because I have a few ideas myself.
No, we better keep it legal. We don't want to give anyone... we'll come visit you in jail, but that's about it. Now, seriously, cash and using alternating cards is a good way of kind of spreading it out. Other than that, the loyalty programs, I'm not going to tell you not to use them. I want you to get your discount. I want a discount. Of course you want a discount. Why would I try to talk you out of that? Maybe you could spread your love around multiple stores with instead of getting your gas at Speedy Rewards all the time, every once in a while go over and get the Shell.
Well, you could get a group of people and I'll just share it so the information is also contradictory. They can't get a clear picture.
Well, now that isn't interesting.
I mean, seriously, what if you had several people share reward cards? You could rack up the points quicker.
Yeah.
Of course, splitting the prize is going to be hard when it's something like...
Well, it would have to be for the fun of it, right? You'd have to... Or maybe you just take turns picking something for every 1,000 points. But think about it. If they got all kinds of, data that just didn't work.
Now, I'll tell you what I did for the fun of it. On Facebook... you get those ads in the margin. And so I was putting certain words in my Facebook posts to see if I could influence the ads that they showed me. And I wasn't successful doing that. But when I did the same thing by selectively clicking on certain ads, I did influence that. On Facebook, I started to get all kinds of ads in Hebrew. I was clicking on everything Jewish, and eventually I was getting ads in Hebrew, completely in Hebrew, just by clicking, so that's, of course Facebook does it, Amazon does it, but yeah, I like yanking the man's chain.
All right. On that note, we're going to move on. It's time for this week's calendar of events, and I know Beth has put together a good one.
Well, slim pickings here for this time, but that's what you get when you pre-record. But there's 2. that I've got. On Friday, July 19th, the Madison County Civil War Roundtable is going to be meeting at Dinner Bell Restaurant. This is a monthly meeting they have. And they usually get really interesting speakers. This time it's Joe Reinhardt, Civil War historian and researcher, is going to present a lecture on Kentucky's federal regiments. There's always a price of the buffet, $15. You need to make the reservations by July 17th. And then on Wednesday, July 24th, the Madison County Public Library is going to have How to Own a Habitat Home at 0% Interest. This is when they're going to talk to people about who qualifies, the benefits, and get into a discussion of the affordable housing landscape in Madison County. So that's going to be at 6:30 p.m. for those interested in that.
Thank you very much. Of course, very excited about that 10-year.
Right, and yeah, definitely hit the Artisan Center, especially if you want to take a chance to get a little bit of a discount on some items you might have been checking out.
Yeah, we'll spend $90 with the kids instead of
$100. That's the hardest thing, is taking your kids and they fall in love with everything, because it's a little bit out of our price range.
The demonstrations are worth going over there. They're going to have 2 of those going simultaneously. She said a glass blower. There were several others there, so that should be well worth the trip.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, and we often do that. Yeah.
All right. Well, you've been listening to All About Berea. On behalf of myself, Chad Hembry, and Beth Myers, and Shalom to our Facebook man here, Jonathan Shinhofen, trying
and
to
his
stick
10
it to the man.
aliases.
We would like to thank you for listening. We're sponsored by the Berea Citizen and BereaOnline.com. You can find the Berea Citizen all around town. Of course, they'd love to sign you up for a subscription. Give them the number, Beth.
859-986-0959.
Also, you can follow them on Facebook, where Beth puts things on there from pretty often. Keep it up to date. And, of course, you can find BreaOnline.com, BreaOnline.com. It's been there since 1995. Can you believe that?
Ancient.
That's amazing. And at both sites, you can get a much more extended calendar of events to find out everything that's going on around Berea.
So we will be back next week with more Berea news. Thanks for listening.